In a dusty monastery far from the noise of the cities, an old monk swept the stone paths every morning at sunrise. He moved slowly but with peace in every step. One day a traveler arrived, shoulders heavy with silence, eyes dark with unrest. The monk noticed, but said nothing. He offered water, a place to rest, and space. At sunset, the traveler finally spoke. "I've walked for days, but the weight hasn't left." The monk asked, "What are you carrying?" The traveler hesitated. "Anger, regret, a betrayal I can't forgive." The monk nodded. "Then it is not distance you need. It is release." The traveler looked confused. "How do I release what broke me?" The monk picked up a small stone and placed it in the traveler's palm. "Hold this until it teaches you." The traveler gripped it tightly. It felt meaningless, but something about the silence around them made it impossible to ignore. For the next 3 days, the traveler stayed at the monastery. He worked beside the monk, carrying water, chopping wood, sweeping the same stone paths. Yet the stone in his hand remained. He never let it go. At night it dug into his skin as he tried to sleep. By morning his fingers ached. Still he clung to it. On the 4th day the monk found him by the river, hand clenched, eyes tired. "Why do you still hold it?" the monk asked. The traveler said, "Because I can't forget." The monk replied, "Forgiveness is not forgetting. It's choosing not to carry pain that's already cut you once." The traveler looked at the stone. It hadn't changed, but he had. "But if I drop it, doesn't that mean it wins?" he asked. The monk smiled softly. "No, it means you do." The river whispered nearby. The traveler didn't drop the stone, not yet. But he stared at it longer this time. That evening, the monk invited the traveler to join him for tea. As the water boiled, he said, "There's a story I want to share." The traveler nodded. The monk began. Once 2 monks were walking along a muddy road. They saw a woman unable to cross. The older monk picked her up and carried her over. Hours later, the younger monk said, "You shouldn't have touched her. It's against our vows." The older monk replied, "I put her down hours ago." "Why are you still carrying her?" The traveler froze. The story struck something deep. He looked down at the stone in his hand again. His fingers were red now, stiff from holding too tightly. "Pain becomes habit," the monk said gently. "We mistake it for identity." The traveler didn't reply. He simply placed the stone on the table between them. For the first time his hand felt light and foreign. If this story touches something within you, subscribe and hit the bell. The moment you let go could change everything. The next morning the traveler rose before sunrise. The monastery was still, bathed in soft blue light. He walked alone to the riverbank, the place where the monk had first spoken of release. This time his hand was empty, but the weight still there. He sat on a flat stone, staring into the current. The water moved without effort, without memory. He whispered, "How do you forgive someone who never asked for it?" The monk's voice came from behind. "You don't do it for them. You do it so you can live." The traveler turned slowly. "But I don't know who I am without the anger." The monk sat beside him. "Then that's who you've become, a reflection of your wound." The river gurgled as if responding. The traveler looked down, and for a moment his breath caught. "And if I let it go, what fills the space?" The monk smiled. "Peace, but only if you stop resisting it." That evening, the traveler helped the monk prepare tea again. They sat in silence, steam rising between them. The traveler finally spoke. "I used to think forgiveness was weakness, that if I let go, it meant they won." The monk poured tea slowly. "Forgiveness isn't surrender. It's strength disguised as peace." The traveler frowned. "But I still feel anger." The monk nodded. "Then forgive again and again. Forgiveness is not one act. It's sweeping the floor every day, knowing dust will return." The traveler stared into his cup. The tea swirled gently, just like the river. "What if I miss the pain?" he asked. The monk didn't flinch. "Then you were never attached to the pain. You were attached to who you were with it." The traveler's hands trembled. "So what do I do with who I become without it?" The monk looked into him with soft eyes. "You meet that person, and you make peace with him too." The next morning the traveler returned to the river alone, no stone in hand, no words in mind, just breath. He sat on the same rock where pain once lived in his chest, like a tenant. Now it was quieter, not gone, but quieter. The river moved like before, unchanged, but somehow it felt different. Memories began to surface. A broken promise, a cruel word. A door slammed in his face. For the first time he didn't look away. He let them come. "Let them pass," he whispered. "You hurt me, but you no longer hold me." The wind moved through the trees as if answering. A single leaf fell into the water, floated briefly, then disappeared downstream. The traveler watched it go, and this time he didn't reach for it. He just breathed. Forgiveness wasn't loud. It didn't shout. It arrived like morning light, soft, steady, and undeniable. And in that stillness he realized peace wasn't something he chased. It was something he finally allowed. Seasons changed again. The traveler's hands no longer gripped the stone, but his heart still trembled with old pain. One quiet evening, he returned to the monastery's courtyard. Jinan was there, sweeping leaves in slow circles. The traveler sat beside him, silence stretching between them like a soft cloth. After a while, Jinan stopped, looked at him, and simply handed him a small wooden box. The traveler opened it carefully. Inside was a piece of carved wood, smooth, worn, and shaped like a leaf. No words followed. The traveler held it close and understood. Forgiveness wasn't forgetting the stone or the wound. It was carrying them differently. Lighter, freer. The box wasn't just a gift. It was a promise, a silent vow that what once weighed down could become the wind beneath his wings. He closed the box gently and breathed out, feeling a peace deeper than any word could hold. He stayed one more day before leaving the monastery. No ceremony, no words, just a silent bow to the monk, who returned it with a nod. As he walked away, the path felt different beneath his feet, like it wasn't running from the past anymore, but walking toward something. In a nearby village, he passed a man screaming at his brother, red with rage. The traveler didn't stop them. He simply kept walking, But with a knowing in his chest, anger no longer ruled him. That night he built a small fire under the stars. He didn't need warmth, he just wanted light. Pulling out a journal, he wrote a single line. I carried it for years, and the moment I let it go, I realized it never belonged to me. He closed the book, stared at the sky and smiled, not because everything was fixed, but because he no longer needed it to be. And now, a question for you. What are you still carrying that was never yours to begin with?